Hi guys, Rick Davis here again from LearnTVProduction.com. Today's topic is the fisheye lens. I want to discuss and go over some applications for this very useful and practical lens that you may want to consider adding to your DSLR camera kit. I know you've seen many examples of this concave look from a DSLR still image, but I want you also to think about the video possibilities for using a fisheye lens as well. So first off, what is a fisheye lens? A fisheye lens is simply a wide-angle lens which gives you a very wide perspective of the image you're viewing. The term fisheye has been coined because of the appearance of the outside of the lens, which has a bulbous or convex appearance, much like the appearance of a fish's eye. It's also been said that maybe this is how a fish may view the world from under the water. Now, there are varying degrees of wide-angle lens that you can use. When you're shooting on a DSLR, once you get down to about 15 mil in lens, it's considered a fisheye. However, that traditional sort of bending of the edges, which are more representative of a fisheye look, that doesn't really become apparent until you move even wider, say down to 12, 10, or 8 millimeters. Now, when you're shooting video on a camcorder or video camera, you can tend to shoot a bit wider before the distortion on the edge of frame becomes as apparent. Now let me provide you with some examples of how I use a wide-angle lens when covering events on video. One of the most common shots that we use when covering live sports is to set up what's known as the establishing shot. This is typically a wide-angle overview of the entire venue. The same shot's used when televising an entertainment or musical event. The camera is set up in a high corner if possible to show as much of the facility while also including the crowd. From a director's standpoint, I like to provide the viewer with that 30,000-foot overview shot before getting in close on the athletes or musicians. When using a video camera, the lens could be as wide as a 14 by 4.3 millimeter. The first number on the video lens refers to the amount of magnification, as in 14 times. So something will appear 14 times closer when you're at the end of the lens. The second number tells you how wide the focal length is. Canon currently provides a super wide lens that has a minimum focal length of 4.3 millimeters. That's on their HJ 14 by 4.3 lens. This lens can give you almost a 100-degree panoramic perspective on a scene. Another great time to have access to a wide-angle lens is when you're shooting, say, awards presentations with group shots. When you're in close proximity to a large group of individuals, say 4 or more people, it makes it much easier to catch all the emotion and action when you have a fisheye lens in your camera. You do have to be aware of how much your lens will bend on the image at the edges, but for the most part, when you're shooting, say, 6 to 8 feet away from the group, then distortion will be minimal. Documentary video shooting can also be made easier when you have a fisheye lens on your DSLR camera. When working in tight quarters, you want to be assured that you don't miss any of the action taking place. Having a 15 mil lens to work with will help you achieve this. Another bonus of this lens is that when shooting stills, you'll find that you can capture amazing pictures without even having to look through the viewfinder to frame your shot. The lens is wide enough that your subject will almost assuredly be in frame when you snap it. This is also a nice feature to have when you're trying to be discreet. Almost all video cameras have zoom lenses, so you'll see 2 numbers on the lens barrel indicating the furthest zoom at one end, meaning how far the camera can zoom in on something, and the widest zoom capability at the other end. On a DSLR, they state the lens capability in the opposite order. The widest setting first, meaning how wide the camera can get, and then the longest zoom ability is the second number. So for example, the Canon EF 8-15 fisheye lens, the 8 here refers to 8 millimeters wide. That's a very fisheye look. And the 15 is the zoom ability, although still, we're talking about a fisheye lens here, so I wouldn't typically think of 15 millimeters as being as much of a zoom, but in theory, that's what you're doing. I hope this gives you some clarity on the abilities and functions for a fisheye or wide-angle lens. Once you start using them, you'll wonder how you ever managed to shoot without one. I hope you found this video to be helpful. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know which DSLR camera lens that you find is the most useful to have in your camera bag. I would love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you'll get my latest videos with video and production tips. Just click on the subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.